kerels, ek gaan vir julle die storie vertel. Waar's die kinders? Nee, man, die son trek water en julle jong mense lyk soos droogkos is kiezers hier. So trek aan vir julle klere.
Mowbray Weinberg. Mama gaan mami nie saam nie. Ou, de girl is so kwaad like Kim man, kom klim in.
Wag, oudjie Jay's lastig. Hy dame, wil jy blomme hê vandag?
Hi, Anna. Hallo, middag.
Salam, julle.
But listen now. Hey, wait, nou maar tell me something man. Ek sê dan vir jou something man, nie te my broek kom hier. Ek vra dan vir jou, what are you? Colored. A term recently that made headlines on a global stage when local South African musician Tyler was asked, "What are you?" And she responded, "Colored." There was an emotional outrage by the African Americans. How dare you? Because as we know, that term in the United States holds a derogatory insult towards African Americans. While there was an outrage in the United States by black people, some of us down here felt proud. We felt seen. We suddenly felt heard. Tyler had put us on a global stage where people will finally find out that there's more than just white and black people living in South Africa. Now let's give you the historical context of where colored people come from. As they say, no, we were not created in a lab, my darling. But it was the year 1652, a couple of Dutch settlers, Dutch East Indian Company, settled down here in the Cape, a refreshment station. Kan jy dit glo, hulle was dors. Interactions happened between the Dutch settlers, the African Asian slaves, and the Khoisan community. That, in the interim, created a new generation of heritage, which later the apartheid regime would classify as colored, kleerling. What is colored? What is colored? Is it the way that you sound? Is it the way that you eat? Is it the way that you move? Do you have teeth? Don't you have teeth? Where is it? In the late 70s, a young man from up north, a little town called Vosburg, would make his down to the Western Cape, where he would fall in love with a young Islamic Malay girl. This young Griqua boy from all the way up north and this young Islamic Malay woman down in the West fell in love, and they had a little girl. And they named her Shimmy. I come from two worlds that integrated itself. And by the time my brain could understand what was going on, the sound of my father's Afrikaans was amper soos 'n rasper. You know, the sound was hard. It was aggressive on my eardrums. Hey, my kind. His K became a ch. His G fell back into his throat, and he said, "Gom." Every time I would go up north, I would be welcomed by my grandmother where I'd have to slaughter a sheep. That is part of my heritage. Whilst when my mother spoke, her Afrikaans seemed almost silky. It was smooth. She articulated every word. She didn't say "zay." She said "hey, yay." Some might say she sounded white. Well, we also have a slang term for that, coconut. And as I started to evolve, I started to embrace those parts of myself. I could say, "Nee, jong, stretching my vowels, but I could also say Yonia, smoothing it. And then in 1994, as I'm about to embark on what they call would become my high school career, I was one of the first brown kids in Worcester that gets sent to an all-white school. It starts with a blazer. Ooh. Wow. And suddenly, my physicality would change. And that's the wonderful thing about being colored. I'm adaptable, darling. I walked to school that way. All the other brown kids walked that way. As I arrived at Worcester Gymnasium, it was a sea of white kids. Oh no. I hope my parents didn't lie and they're selling me off. I've never seen so many white kids in my life. And suddenly the questions came. So, listen, why do you sound like that? Oh, God. You know, you colored people, hey? You guys are just so funny. And it wasn't until I got to Juffrou van Wyk's Afrikaans class where I suddenly felt wrong. I looked at one of my school friends and I said, "Zai moenie so nie, man." To the English listeners, that means, hey, don't do that. And suddenly Juffrou van Wyk comes up to me and she says, "Kom hier so, jy moet hier so kom." Nee, dit is, jy moenie dit doen nie. Oh my gosh. That's what happened to the Khoisan, isn't it? I remember now. They started speaking Afrikaans out of a Creole language, yes! And I remember that part where the white Afrikaners came and they formalized their speech. Is this what they meant? Was I wrong for saying J and hoekom and and using my facial expressions at the same time? My body shifted as my speech was formalized into, "Ag nee, ja juffrou, dankie." I went from relax, hello, to I suddenly felt wrong. And I would be plagued my entire high school career. Was I colored enough? What is it to be colored? Should I listen to this music? Should I listen to that music? And then, it's Cape Town time. Little girl from little old Worcester is setting her sights on the big city. And mind you, it was the year 2000. And in the year 2000, my own ignorance would plague me as I suddenly was approached by someone who looked like me, but had a bit of a mixture of language. Are you Afrikaans? Are you English? What are you? And the Cape colored accent and dialect confused me, isn't it? Yeah? So why did you say Eva? My own ignorance as I started judging colored Cape Townians, and I said, "You don't know how to speak proper. You don't know what it's like to be educated." The one says, "So you think it's only clever people that sound so?" And in that moment, I realized that I cannot associate intelligence with accents. So ek vra julle wie? I ask you again. What are you? What are you? What are you? I've been colored my whole life. My father was a Khoisan. I was like the activist. I am Khoisan. Yes, the native people walked here. I've got the blood of my ancestors running through my veins. Until a year ago, I decided to have my ancestral DNA done. Wow. I remember when I got it. I was looking for the part that said colored. I was looking for the part that said colored, or at least sub-Saharan. Let's look at my pie chart. 43% West African. Hello! I am blacker than Kanye and Bao, boo-boo. And then we have 14% South European, 24% European. I know. I saw that, I said, oh gosh, Caucasians aren't doing so well in the world right now. And then, of course, we've got South Asia. But the interesting part about all of this is that it didn't change who I was. I had concrete, factual, statistical information that could prove where my bloodline came from. I don't know nothing about French. I don't know nothing about West Africa. So, Shami, what are you, man? I'm Shami. Thank you.